Hello, welcome to Heidi Relationships. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you enjoy the video. The first story is titled, Caught Wife Cheating. Now what about her kids? Really long sorry. Had to get it out. I am 52, lost first wife 10 years ago. At the time 2 daughters now 21 and 24. Life went on after about 3 years. I met current wife, 38. Met innocently enough. Basically, kept bumping into her various places around town. Never really talked, sometimes made eye contact. We would point at each other at a distance and just smile. Then one day getting my car worked on, she walked into the waiting room, while hers was worked on also. So, we finally had a long conversation. We went across the street to get real coffee, as service centers was bad. We talked about an hour, then I was paged mine was done. I asked if she would like to do lunch one day to continue talking. We exchanged numbers and a day to meet up. We dated 2 years, then married. She has 2 boys now 10 and 14. They moved into my house, been living with her parents for 3 years. My girls loved her. Not as a stepmom but as a big sister. Although having another adult in the house with 2 teenage girls was a blessing. Life is grand. I love those boys as if we are my own. I want to adopt them when they can decide on their own. The little one calls me dad. The oldest, it was awkward. I told him to call me what he felt comfortable, my first name. The girls called her by her name. Wife is Sam. We decided until kids were adjusted. Now she does not want to work but does volunteer at school lunch and other things. Daughter 1 goes off to college, is now graduated. The younger daughter grad this past morning. We are moving the rest of her things this weekend. I was told her ex abandoned them about the time baby number 2 came along and has been no contact since. Her mom is very nice but holds me at arm's length. He is an alpha dog. I do not think he wanted anyone else taking care of his daughter only child, and grandkids. He would berate me because I was too old, not much younger than them. This would be anytime I was around them. I am non-confrontational, so I told wife I would just stay away from them. I did encourage her to continue relationship, as they only live a couple blocks away. February this year her ex reappears, wants to be in their lives. He is sketchy at best. I cannot refuse this. He starts coming around often. I set a boundary that he comes on weekends so as not to interfere with school and we can control his visitation somewhat. He comes most weekends, but really spends little time alone with the kids as we try to give him space. I ask wife if he made any child support payments while he was gone. No. I suggested to her to talk to him about getting caught up of whatever he owes and to ask about signing over rights so I could adopt. She said she would talk to him. First part of March our sex life starts to dive. You know where this going, right? But I am oblivious. I mention to wife, she has the usual excuses. I notice little things around the house are different. My favorite snacks are gone, missing a few beers, not a big drinker, just one every now and then. But the big one was I could smell what I thought was weed. I asked wife if she was smoking, as we do not, she has not. I thought the now 14-year-old was, suggested we talk with him. She says she would handle it. About 2 weeks ago 14 years old asks me if I love mom. I said yes, thinking he has a girlfriend. Time for a talk, right? He says that we always sat together and were touching each other some way or other. This made him feel good. He asks if mom loved his dad. I responded that sure on some level she does, why asking? He replies that they are always looking at each other, talking and touching. And he is over all the time. I asked what he meant by all the time, Almost every day when they get home from school he is there then leaves. That weekend I am in the living room, he is over for visitation. He comes in and sits down across from me with a beer. I look up from my reading and tell him to help himself to a beer. He says nothing. I ask why he with the kids isn't. I could hear laughing coming from the family room. He said he might go in a little bit. I tell him I will not drink in front of the kids, I wait until after they are in bed. He says nothing. He then states, "You know I am only here for her." What does that mean? You're talking about my wife. He says technically not divorced, he never signed papers, so she is his wife. I know a judge signed off on divorce because he could not be found, that is why it took longer to divorce. I finally ask about the child support since I never heard back. He just looked at me and said that he was caught up, paid her $15,000 in cash. WTF. I asked then if she talked to him about giving up rights, never asked. He asked what it would be worth to me. I said, "You got to be kidding, you would sell your kids." Before he could answer I told him to leave. The next day, this past Sunday, the kids were at Grandma and Grandpa with wife. I bought and installed a camera. I put it on top of the TV. Very small. It has a view of the front door and living room. Motion activated. Nothing unusual until Wednesday about 10 a.m. I get alert on phone when the camera activates. So, I am at work, I get a notice, figure it's the wife cleaning up, I look anyways. He comes back. She lets him in, they kiss, long. He starts grabbing at her, she playfully pushes away, they are laughing, no sound. He sits on the couch, she brings him a beer and snacks. 10 a.m. She disappears. She is back a few minutes later, clothes changed, she is going to school for lunch. They are talking. More grabbing, more pushing away, laughing. A few minutes later she is up getting ready to leave. He gets up, grabs her again. Making some gestures, then poses like he is praying, hands together. They sit down again, she gives him head. She finishes up, goes out of range. Comes back, says something, then leave. He then watches TV, he takes a nap. Screen eventually go as blank. A little after 1 p.m. another alert, she is home. They talk, they both leave room. I know they are headed to bedroom. I race home and find them. They never heard me coming. There is the hysterics you would expect. He slithers out. I tell her she must go. She pleads it was a one-time mistake, he had just got there. She was lonely because we were not having sex, etc. I called bees. I asked how often he came over, just the weekends. This was an anomaly. I showed the video of him napping. She said he was tired and asked. Then I showed her the BJ. She had nothing to say. I told her to pack her bags, she is out. I left and called her dad to take them in, we were having issues. He of course takes alpha position, telling me how I would screw this up, yada yada. I could not get a word in. Finally, I stopped him, asked again, he said yes, then started on me again. I had enough, I said I would send him something. I sent the video edited down to BJ. I told him to view and call me back if I was wrong. Never heard back. Talked to lawyer Thursday. He helped with estate plan after first wife. Referred me to a partner who does family law, will meet Tuesday, divorce will happen. He felt but did not know for sure that I would be on the hook for support for kids, no alimony since she broke our prenup. I made it up before marriage in addition to estate plan to protect my girls. I do not care about the support, glad to do it. It is the boys. So, my question or advice needed, has anyone else been through divorce and was able to see their ex's kids even if they are no yours? How did that go? The 14 years old is partially vulnerable as he will be in HS next year, formative years. I do not want to see him go down the tube and turn out like dad. Thanks to all in advance. A person in the comments said, given the age of the kids, it is likely that they can participate somehow in the divorce and custody conversation and give their own preferences. Some mediations give the kids their own time alone with the decision maker to say their piece. Sounds like the kids are bonded to, so do not lose hope that you will still be a big part of their lives. The next story is titled, Update. Caught my wife cheating. What about her kids? Last week was a busy week with daughter grad, moving her home, kids sports starting, lawyer, and the first face-to-face with wife. Got home Sunday, put daughter's stuff from apartment in garage. I get a call early evening from 14-year-old. Dad, what's going on? No one is talking to us. Mom and grandma are crying, grandpa's yelling. Is this because of what I told you? I assured him that his mom made a bad mistake, that he had nothing to do with this mess. He asked if I was packing up their stuff because he saw the U-Haul in the driveway. I explained what happened and that all their stuff was remain there. Monday and were sports nights. Family sits in bleachers while I stand behind home plate backstop. My usual spot since I do not see eye to eye with Phil. On the way across the field, the oldest stops his warm-up and rubs over to me. We hug and talk a few minutes, then send him back. As I get my spot, I have a 10-year-old crash into me at full speed. I bend down, hug and kiss him all over as he is squirming away. My Phil asks if we could talk. We step away from earshot. He apologizes for the way he has treated me in the past and that he was wrong. Well, a little late, but I accepted and said I knew that it was a hard thing for him to do. He invited me to sit with them. I declined. He asked if I wanted to talk to wife. I said Thursday would be better. Do we set time and place? Tuesday comes, meet with lawyer. I told him the whole story. He knew from his partner but wanted to hear from me. He asked what I wanted to do. I wanted to stay with the boys, then stay married. The boys were most important. He stated in his experience that the marriage would be a charade and not good for the boys. We could work out a visitation if wife is willing. As far as support, he said I could do what I wanted for the boys. Not to give her anything for me to control. The prenup was solid. She violated conditions, no support. He cautioned though that judges around the country have in some instances ordered child support in my case due to being in their lives so long. He did not think our judges have ruled that way in the past, but you never know. He was sure her attorney would seek support. He suggested that we try to agree on everything we could before court. The judge would look favorably on us. Before leaving, he told me that every Monday morning the partners meet to discuss new and ongoing cases. My previous attorney started out describing everything. Each partner has a specialty. Estate planning, elder law, criminal, liability, family. Later in the PM, the criminal lawyer meets up with my attorney. After the meeting, he called a contact in the prosecutor's office. The $15,000 did not seem right. How do folks in the middle class have $15,000 in cash laying around? Turns out X did not abandon them. He was in jail. He was released 3 years ago, when feds were releasing nonviolent criminals to ease overcrowding, etc. He was sure the police would be interested if he were back and practicing his profession again. But he did not have any other info but the jail time. Thursday, I meet with and Phil. I asked if they minded if I recorded so there would be no misinterpretation later. They agreed. Before we started, wife wanted to talk privately. Phil moved to another room. Wife started to apologize. I cut her off. I said, before you say anything, know that I know a lot more than you think. I asked how long the sex, she said the one time. I told her the video shows that is not true. I played a clip of her dusting the TV. She never saw the camera. I know it was only a few days, but she was going to lie, so I was too. She thought it was part of the video game. It is not big, but it is obvious on top of TV. She admitted since March almost right away. I told her no more lies. I told her of the family secret, that he was in jail not running away. She admitted to this also. I asked how long in contact, since Feb. I asked if she met up anytime before him appearing, she said no. I then told her he had been out for 3 years. The look on her face told me she did not know. We get Phil back in. Turn on recorder. I asked if she had a lawyer? No. Told her to get one because a divorce will happen. They both asked if something along reconciliation could take place. I said no. I said I wanted the boys, she could live with X. I told her when speaking privately that X tried to sell me the boys. I repeated for Phil. We settled on the boys could see me anytime within reason, she would not keep me from them. I said I would provide at my choosing. She would get no support. I did not want her getting the boys to ask me for things, they would be honest if I asked. There you have it. One last thing, Redditors The Wife and I are avid readers of this site. We have our favorite subs. We would read and share, it was a thing we did together. She has read my post as she figured it out and she read every reply you made. She stated you, savaged, her. You said many things I only wish I could have because I did feel it. For that I thank you. The next story is titled, My Wife is Going to Have Sex with Other Men. Title says it all. My wife, Beth, and I are 50. 3 kids last just graduated and started new job in May. Been married 27 years. 2 kids are married. The daughter is 5 months pregnant with first grandchild. This past Friday family celebrated Beth's 50th. She was stay-at-home mom until about 13 years ago. She started a career, has done great. We are almost equal in pay. We are not rich, still a mortgage, but life is comfortable. Saturday I was finishing my breakfast. She sits down across from me and says, I need to tell you something. She pauses. I am like, okay, what is it? Take a deep breath and says, I am going to start having sex with other men. I just stare, waiting for a smile to crack. None. I ask her to repeat it. She does, still no smile. Now I am WTF does that mean? She goes on to explain for the last 10 years she has had the pact with herself. The kids will be gone, job is good, our life is good, she wants to do this for herself. Again WTF. We were married in our early 20s, only partners, she feels she missed out. Now that she is 50, she wants this new life. She wants the marriage opened. I asked if I had any say. Nope. She hoped I would look elsewhere also. She wants to stay married. Now I am going apecrap. I am yelling, crying, sobbing, all the emotions of betrayal. I asked if I did anything to cause this. No, all her. I left the house to drive nowhere. I called her best friend from childhood, Claire. She confirmed they had talked about this off and on over the years. They have a group of friends, they do their girls' night out, etc. 2 are single, 4 married. The 2 singles delight the group with their exploits. Claire says they all have a yearning, but Beth is the only one following through. I should point out I will be talking to Claire's husband, we are good friends. So, I have no one to talk to about this. Parents on both sides are alive in their late 70s. I called my brother 1,000 miles away. He was blown away, no advice. I did call a lawyer on Monday. We'll meet next week. In the meantime, he advised not to move out, change locks, or change living arrangements as that could come back to bite me. He said take lots of notes, and above all no physical confrontation. That would not be a problem. Sunday, I went in for round 2. I asked if she was going to date these guys, no just sex. How were they to meet? A girlfriend was to set her up on sites. I was worried about her safety. Girlfriends would be close by on initial meetup. They would also know where and when the hookup would take place. They would know when and where the hookups take place. I know there are some weird-ass posts on Reddit. I need to Google half the things people write with all the acronyms, initials, and just plain different lifestyles. Has anyone got advice or heard of something like this? I took Monday off from work to collect my thoughts, but that did not work. She is just going about her life unfazed by this. A user in the comments said, "See the lawyer. Draw up divorce papers and put them on the table. Do not tolerate this. If she needs to duck other men, then she needs to be single. It will break you heart and destroy you to know she is going out to duck some other man while you sit at home alone. She needs new friends too." The next story is titled, "Update: My wife is going to have sex with other men. My wife and I calmed down on Sunday to discuss this mess. I had been avoiding her all week until I could get my head around it. We took a drive in the car, something we like to do, for like 3 hours. My wife started out apologizing for how she presented this to me. She had been rehearsing on what to say. When it came time to inform me, it just spilled out of her mouth all wrong. She wanted to bring up now that kids are grown and on their own, she would like us to make changes in our lives. She went on about not having other sexual partners, etc. What she wanted to propose was that we have an open relationship, where we both would seek out others. I told her that I could not do this. I reminded her of the vows before God, family, and friends we took on fidelity. I told her how she had violated the trust that I had for her. Look, I understand what she is feeling. I know she wants new experiences. I told her our plan, as we had discussed many times in the past, once the kids were out, that we would travel a bit. Maybe take up new hobbies, maybe some education classes, etc. We never had a discussion about this. I told her because of the breach of trust and her steadfastly stating she is going to do this, I was seeing a lawyer Tuesday to start divorce proceedings. At this point, if she said she would not go through with this, I could not think she could be cheating at some point. That is where the trust comes in. I think divorce is proper, she can do her thing, no guilt can be associated. I think equal division of assets. I expect to make no support payments. Did not know if it was a thing in our state, it's not. We will have to sell the house, and each downsize. We actually had a good talk. Papers are being drawn. We hope to get through this by fall. I did talk to each kid individually, explained we are going separate ways. Did not mention the lifestyle change. They can talk to their mom themselves. I will always love my wife. I will take the high road. I know many of you wanted scorched earth, but I cannot do that, it's not me. I do want to address a couple comments someone posted on the update on the other sub. They thought I was trying to manipulate her into staying by using the marriage vows. I got to say that my religious upbringing has set my morals that I live by. This works for me. There are some that say it's the 21st century, no one lives that way anymore. There are many things I see others do and say that I do not agree with, but I do not try to impose my morals on them, and conversely you should not denigrate what I believe. Remember, my wife and I believed the same for close to 30 years, only recently has she made a change. I never held her down, she was always free to choose. I believe in God and believe in my vows before Him. Sorry, enough soapbox. Last, I want to thank all of your kind replies. I was overwhelmed. I only wish I could have replied to each and every one. Thank you for letting me talk this out. The next story is titled, My Parents Falsely Accused My Brother of Being a Creep and It's Really Affecting Him. My brother is 15, my sister is 17, and I'm 23F. This is really stupid, and it shouldn't have happened, but it did. Now I just want advice on how to make it better. Also, this is the story my brother told me as I wasn't there. He was in his room playing on his phone minding his own business. He got up to take out the trash. He came back to lay down in his bed. As he was laying down, he noticed their dog walking out of his room. He ignored it. Later on, his sister 17 noticed clothes were missing. She went looking for it and found it in my brother's room. The problem was that it was wet and slimy. She immediately told our parents, and they thought the worst. My dad, mom, and brother argued about it. Rude things were said. Apparently, mom said I knew you were weird but not this weird. My dad said I raised a predator. In the end my parents asked me to pick him up and let him stay with me for a couple of days. When I picked him up, he didn't say anything and just sat in silence. He spent the entire time in the room he was staying in. He only came out for dinner. He skipped breakfast and lunch. His eyes were always red when he came out, so I assume he was crying. I've never seen him cry. Most of the time when he's upset, he just has a stone face, so what they said must have got to him. Finally, at the end of the week his parents called me and said they wanted to talk to him, so they came over. Before they came over, I tried to talk to him, but he ignored me. When parents came, they apologized to him. Over the week they noticed more of sister clothes in his room until one day my dad caught the dog with my sister clothes. My brother just said okay and went home. I tried to ask my parents if he could stay longer but they said that wouldn't be necessary. Later on, I got a call asking me what he did over my house because he's just been in his room all day at their house. Is there anything I can do to help him feel better? Advice would be greatly unappreciated. Edit little update, good news. He can stay with me until Sunday. I had to lie a little to parents to get him to come. I told them he should get out the house because he spends most of his day sitting in one spot with online school. They didn't believe me at first, but I said it would be a chance to get him out his room. They finally agreed. He was about to go to sleep, so I came just in time. I think the plan right now is to just spend time with him this week. I am broke, so it's gonna be mostly home stuff. I tried to talk to him on the car ride. I asked him if he is okay. He said he is fine, and we had a little conversation about his school. So at least he is talking now. He is in the spare room, so everything is okay right now. The next story is titled, Update: My Parents Falsely Accused My Brother of Being a Creep and It's Really Affecting Him. So, I've been asked to update the situation. Many of you guys asked that I let brother live with me, but I had to take him back to our parents' house this morning. The last update I gave was when my brother was allowed to spend the week at my house. That was last Sunday. We spend the first day, Monday, at my house just talking. He spends most of the time in the room. At first, he wasn't responding back. It was going nowhere quickly. So, I ended the conversation by telling him our parents were wrong and that he is not weird. I didn't say it exactly like this, but I hope you get the point. He just had a stone face and we stopped talking. Tuesday he still did not really come out of the room. I offered to go to McDonald's, and he came out the room to eat at the table. We just talked about random different things. He was not really interested in the conversation until we started talking about my Xbox. We eventually started talking about Madden. He started talking about how good he is at the game. We finished eating he went back to his room. Wednesdays I bought Madden. I do not play sports game. I play games like Cuphead or cartoon animated games. I asked if he wanted to play and he agreed. I know this is serious, but Madden absolutely sucks. The game started cheating as soon as we started. The first thing my player did was fumble the ball. He was killing me at it. He laughed a couple of times, and he seemed to be enjoying himself. We spent a good portion of the day just playing. Thursday was pretty much the same as Wednesdays, but he was talking more. I was gonna go to the movies, but COVID is still a thing. We eventually just settled to watching Netflix. He spends half the day in his room, but he is coming out more. Friday, I decided to try to talk to him about the situation again. I pretty much told him I would talk to our parents to get them to understand why he was hurt by it. I also took the advice of seeing if he wanted to talk to a professional. He asked me not to ask them about it. He said it was just better if nobody brought it up again. I was a little shocked, but there is not much I could do. We then decided to go to a walking trail. At first, he didn't want to go, but I convinced him to come. We just spent more time talking. This also made me realize that I should talk to my siblings more often. He seemed happier. Saturday or yesterday was pretty much us just talking again. We decide instead of Madden to just play random games I had. I do not have a lot, but I think he had a good time. When it was dinner time, he got kinda quiet again. I asked him what was wrong. He said he was not ready to go back home yet. I did not know what to say. I asked him if he wanted me to talk to our parents to see what we could do. He just said no again. I pretty much told him he could come to my house anytime he wanted to. That leads us to today. He is back at his house. I was gonna talk to our parents, but I assumed he has a reason for not wanting me to talk to them. I know you guys said something about getting him a therapist, but he said no to the idea. I did call my sister to see how she is doing. She said she tried to apologize to brother, but he ignored her. I do not know what happening with that, but one thing at a time. And that is pretty much how the week went. Overall, he seemed much happier than he was last week. I texted him and he wants to come back over sometime next week. This part has nothing to do with my brother, but it's about me. You don't have to read it. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I have no idea what the duck I am doing. I'm only 23, still trying to get my life together. I am a firefighter, so I'm just glad that we get a lot of vacation time, or else I would have had to work. I know people are thinking if you're a firefighter you should know what to do, and why did you ask what the signs of depression are? I was never trainer on how to deal with somebody actively showing signs of depression. I was trained to help somebody who is in the process of trying to commit suicide, and that training wasn't that good. It was basically trying to talk them down and do whatever you can to get them to a hospital. I've yet to use this training. Therefore, I was panicking when everything was happening. People were telling me he could commit suicide. I know I should have kept a cool head, but it just felt different because it was family. They tell you not to panic, but I am only human. I have been a firefighter for about 2 years now. Anyway, something else I wanted to say. I am gonna try to be there for both my brother and sister, but I made a mistake too. Somebody brought up the point of when I found out what happened, what was my reaction. I am ashamed to admit it, but I did not have one. I thought he was gonna get over it and everything would be alright. I only started caring when I realized that he was not acting like his normal self. That when I realized the impact of what they said and how ducked up this all really is. So, to the person who brought up this point, thank you. This showed me that no matter how great my actions are looking in front of random strangers, the truth is that I had a similar mindset as my parents. I do not think he is weird, but I guess my time spent around them made me desensitized to the things they say. IDK. I am gonna work to change that because it is not right. So, to everybody, thank you for the advice you've given. I see the mistake I have made, and I am 100% behind changing myself and being behind my brother. This is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the relationship stories. Please do not forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video and write a comment. I really appreciate your support and it helps my channel so much. Thank you.